Midnight Double Feature presents Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. On this episode, we bring you Season 4, Episode 2, 38 Snub, written by George Mastras and directed by Michelle McLaren. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. I'm here with my main man, Colin. As always, Colin, what's happening, baby?
Hey, what's going on, dude? Ready to jump into this episode 38 special, I think. 38 Snub, whatever it's called.
38 Snub, yeah, that's it, baby. It's one of those episodes that it's not an action-packed episode, but I think it really sort of dials in on the psychology of the characters a little bit. I'm curious to see what you think about this, especially after the premiere for the first episode. So for season 4. So essentially in this episode, this is a big Jesse and Hank episode. Obviously, we get machinations of Walt. He's kind of making moves out there. But I think this is a big Jesse episode in terms of telling us where his mind space is after he tackled the whole situation with Gail and all of that, and then he witnessed the murder of Victor directly in front of him by Gus. So that's a big thing. Also, just really quickly before we dive right in, I realized that I don't really plug our socials anymore here. So, if you're wondering where to find us or how to connect with us, we are easily reachable. You can reach us on Facebook. We have our own page. We also have our own group called the After Party. There's some lovely, amazing people on there who are just absolutely beautiful and absolutely fantastic. So if you're already in the after party, thank you so much for contributing. Thank you so much for being a part of that community. We love it. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and we're no longer on Twitter. So I don't maintain the Twitter anymore because I hate it. I hate what that thing's become. So I'm just
Yeah, it's a hellscape.
see you later. It is an absolute hellscape. So I just don't go on there anymore. But we are on what's the other one? We are on TikTok.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
on TikTok at MDF Pod, so you can go check that out as well. But yeah, man, look, without any further ado, let's jump into this bad Larry. Tell me, Colin, what did you think about season 4, episode 2, 38 Snub?
I thought it was interesting, man. I feel like this is probably one of the, one of those character-driven episodes, not a lot of plot-driven episodes. Like, I feel like the show has a real rhythm of action and consequence, and this is one of those consequence kind of episodes that like nothing real. I mean, I'd say the biggest thing that moves the plot forward is probably Skyler trying to strong arm the car wash guy, but other than that, like I nothing that really like moves the timeline forward in my opinion. I still liked it. I still thought it was a good episode, but I think after last week's episode, I like not that I was let down, but I was surprised by how kind of like quiet this is, for lack of a better term. Because like yeah, some stuff. I mean, God, you see, Walt get his ass beat. He buys a gun. You see 3 people relapse. It's like quiet in terms of Breaking Bad is very contextual. Um, it's very different from a lot of quiet episodes of like TV and stuff. So I think it's a good episode. I think it's solid. It's not one of my favorites. I would say it's probably one of my I don't know, not one of my least favorites, but something that I feel like if I'm gonna forget an episode, I feel like this might be one of them. I feel like that I'm gonna like this is one of those episodes where a couple of years it's like, oh yeah, is that the one where Mike fucking punches Walter at the bar? Like it's gonna be something like that. Like I like it, but the reason why I like it is because Breaking Bad is that kind of TV show that has that ebb and flow, and this is like a valley where I'm sure in the next couple episodes the peak is coming.
Yeah, I feel like I think you're definitely hit the nail on the head. So, like, I don't think that this is one of the best episodes of the season, let alone the show. But I do think that it is a fantastic character piece.
Mhm.
And it's a bit like, I'm sure we'll talk about Sopranos when we get to Sopranos, but I don't think Breaking Bad has a bad episode. It just has good ones and then like better ones. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I feel like
Sure.
it just starts at like the plane of existence starts at good.
Right.
And I don't think it gets much lower than that. I think, just by virtue of the characters, by virtue of the filmmaking, the quality of the music and everything like that, you just can't get to the level of bad. Like I don't think there'll be a bad episode. Maybe if you do like a sort of like, oh, taking the whole show into proportion, this episode is
Sure.
bad, sure, maybe, but I think like objectively there's no real bad episodes, but like this is kind of like on the back end, like in terms of just like um plot progression. And I was talking to a mate not too long ago actually. He was chatting about just a couple shows that he has on his sort of list or like what to watch. And he is very much like he loves shows that are heavy on plot. Like we were chatting about Succession, and Succession to me is one of the best shows of all time. I love that show. It's just Succession is more of a character study. Like by the end of Succession, you're just like, oh, I know exactly who Kendall Roy is. I know exactly who Roman Roy is and Siobhan Roy is. I can like pretty much like pick them out of a lineup if they were all like wearing bags on their heads,
Mhm.
But like, but there isn't like the plot of that show becomes second nature. Like you don't give a fuck who's going to win or like who's going to end up with the company. Like you just kind of want to see these characters sort of interact with each other. And I think the best shows sort of nail both of them, plot and character. And I think Breaking Bad takes the time to do plot and character very, very well. And I'm not saying like Sopranos kind of falls into the same boat, except a lot of the time in Sopranos, the plot isn't as meaningful. Like you don't really give a shit about I don't know, like you don't really care about like there's no sort of like overall sort of like uh A to B to C to D to E.
Yeah.
You really just want to see the characters interact with each other in Sopranos.
Well, yeah, and there's no, like, real like, this is, like, a fish out of water story for Walt, and a little bit, out of water for Jesse because 'cause they're not used to dealing with, people like Mike and Gus, like, they're kind of, like, entering this world versus in, like, The Sopranos, that's all there is. There's not, like, a Gus to be feared, this
Right.
terrifying presence. It's like there's multiple villains across there's Ralph, there's, fucking Manson Lamps, Richie, and then there's 3 or 4 different villains, like, as the show goes on, so it's just kind of like this, like, it's the mob is like the setting, but the characters and like the drama is kind of like what takes center fold.
Right. I mean, like there are just devastating. I know we're already talking about Sopranos, but I just like immediately thought of like what makes Sopranos interesting is just how nuanced it is with the character work. Even like for a character like Richie, like how he's able to get off and how he's able to have sex is just like it's covered, and it's
Hmm.
just like for David Chase for like to cover that character in that way tells us so much. But anyway, back to this. I think that, yeah, like I said, I think this is a big Jesse and Hank episode. I think it deals with untreated PTSD. I think it deals with how we deal with pain management,
Hmm.
and like how sometimes we lash out at the people we love or the people that we care about, um, while they are caring for us. Like we so Jesse has inflicted pain, and Hank has had pain inflicted on him, but it's interesting to see how both of them deal with trauma. And I think this is a big episode for that. Like I'm very excited to jump into this. So let's get into this big bitch. Real quick trivia. Apparently filming in Albuquerque was delayed because of a snowstorm and like record low temperatures, and they had to declare a state of emergency. Well, as they were like as they were like filming this episode. So I guess like it like really like caused a bit of a delay with season 4.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, so opening scene as Walt is with this black market arms dealer. This actor, have you seen this actor in anything before?
No, but he does. I mean, not off the top of my head, but he looks very familiar, but I
Yeah.
can't tell you where it's from.
So his name's Jim Beaver. He's perhaps best known for playing Bobby Singer in Supernatural. He's kind of like the like Dean and Sam Winchester's sort of like uncle slash friend slash whatever. He's
Hmm.
kind of like a regular in that show. He's in Deadwood as well. He's in a bunch of stuff, but he was filming Supernatural at the time, and I guess he and Vince Gilligan met um, in another like when Vince Gilligan wrote an X Files episode back in the day. So that's kind of like how they knew each other, and like he was just like, "Oh, I know, I know the perfect person for this part." So, yeah, that's another, I guess, X Files connection, right, with the Bryan Cranston thing, which
Hmm.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's in a great
So,
episode of X Files.
yeah, Drive, um,
Hmm.
which is also directed by Vince Gilligan. Opening scene. The motel room was a set. Apparently, the director Michelle McLaren wanted a genuine sort of like rundown motel feel, but decided that it would be too hard to shoot an actual motel room because they can't fit cast and crew in it. So they kind of like had these walls that would sort of like give away or like collapsible so they can like fit these big ass cameras into it. And this opening shot of Walt just kind of like asking, "What do you think?" I just thought this was really interesting because I thought for a second, I totally forgot that like he was talking to the black market arms dealer. It kind of feels like that he's talking into the mirror for like self-reflection. Like, what do you think? He's kind of like
Hmm.
studying his own image. Um, maybe he's wondering if the other Walt other people see gives any hint of like what he's sort of carrying inside. Like it's his whole it's pretty much his entire identity is concealment. What do you think about like the way this episode opened?
I thought it was fucking hilarious. Like because
This is
it's
a great scene. This is a great scene.
well, and I think like like objectively, I think it's hilarious because it's Walt trying to you know, uh, carry a concealed weapon. And I think the dude is totally right when he's like, "Hey, if you're not a felon, like New Mexico is a state where you can defend yourself. Like you don't have to buy." But Walt wants to buy. He wants to be like, I'm a bad man with a bad gun in my pocket." And it's like some of like I will say it's moments like this that do make me kind of like lose it a little bit for Walt, where I'm just like, oh, this is fucking annoying because it's like you don't have to do this. Like it's a pride thing. And I think the dude is 100% correct. Like when the dude is trying to talk himself out of money, you need to listen to him. Like you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I just think it's so naive for Walter to think like, um, oh, I'll just get an illegal gun, but also there's this story that he's telling of, oh, it's for defense, it's for defense, it's for defense, and then we see that it's totally not. That he 100% tries to go on the offense with this gun is hilarious. It's like it's just his naivete of, oh yeah, I'll just buy a gun and walk up and shoot him, and it's like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's moments like that where like, yes, Walt is a genius, but there's just times where it's like, dude, this is not a fucking movie, man.
no.
Like this is so ridiculous that you think you're just gonna he doesn't even get on the sidewalk to Gus's house before they call it, and they're just like, sit your fucking bald ass down. Um,
There are a couple
it
moments in this episode where it's like that when he's sort of like setting up the two chairs opposite each other and he's given the stare before he does the cross draw, and I'm just like, dude,
uh,
you're playing. You think you're playing a video game, and you are so out of your depth.
right, or that and I love but I love the beginning of this because it's so hilarious to see what Walt thinks is like a good plan or what's going to work. And ultimately, I think it also shows where Walt's headspace is though. If he wants to be the one to, oh, excuse me, he wants to be the one to draw first blood. He's not going to give Gus an opportunity to jump down on him. He wants the high ground kind of thing.
Right.
So I think it's pretty funny, and it's also kind of showing where Walt is like in his headspace right now.
Yeah. No. Definitely. Um, so what he ends up buying is this 38 snub, tried and true, no nonsense about it. The arms dealer gives him the holster. Walt asks if it's on the correct side, showing his inexperience. The arms dealer says, "I don't know if the arms dealer, by the way, has a name. I mean, I think it'll be kind of counterintuitive if he gave Walt a name, so or his name. So I'm just gonna keep calling him arms dealer. um, it says you don't want to cross draw not unless you're going to be sitting. You got to practice your draw. You got to practice your draw a lot.
Mhm.
The serial number's been filed off. That's why Walt's paying 5 times more than a gun store, and you don't want to be caught with it. We find out that just really quick tidbit: Saul was the one who referred this arms dealer to Walt
Mhm.
because he mentions the lawyer. Walt says it's for defense only. New Mexico is not a retreat jurisdiction, and stand your ground laws apply in New Mexico. If you don't know what that means, but basically it just means, if someone enters your property with an intention to harm you, most states have a sort of, you need to retreat first or attempt to retreat before you respond with any kind of violence. But New Mexico is like does away with the retreat sort of element. You can just stand your ground
Mhm.
if you believe that you or a loved one is about to be harmed or seriously injured. Um, the arms dealer says he's happy to take your money, but it might be best for you to bear your arms within the confines of the law. But Walt, Walt is not one to listen, as we know. Walt is not one to take anyone's advice. Walt kind of does what he wants to do. And he purchases the gun. I'll take it, he says. And quite clearly, we're seeing a bit of an escalation here, right? Like this is we are ratcheting up the tension. We are ratcheting up um the level of like what potentially could go wrong in Walt's life. And this is such a big sort of like I think like you said, I mean, I know that he is sort of like trying to play gangster, but he did just purchase a gun, and
Mhm.
that is an invitation for violence. Which is, I know we've seen Walt kill people before, but this is a bit more, I think, is a bit more intentional, you know? So
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think we are seeing an escalation here.
Mhm. Yeah. The paranoia fucking with him.
Yes, absolutely. We have the title card, and then we're with Mike in this bar. He runs his hand over his face. He's very exhausted. And Mike notices that he still has Victor's blood on his handcuff, on his cuff, sorry. He scrapes it off. Despite what we know about the usual sort of like unflappable Mike, I think I did take this as he is a little bit phased by Victor's blood, like because he just like sighs like super deeply, and then the scene
Mhm.
just cuts. Like we don't get a lot of these like moments in Breaking Bad where it's we check in with a character for probably like a 1 minute scene, and then we cut over to another character. Like this was. I just thought it was interesting. The intention of this scene was to show that Mike was uh, a bit phased by the actions of Gus. Um,
No,
yeah,
I
what do you think
agree.
about
I
this?
I I think that, Mike's point of view is probably my favorite of the whole episode, even though he's kinda hardly in it, but I like where, Mike is kind of at this point of, obviously something is bothering him, like, because at first I kinda thought I was like, "Man, he does seem, like, bothered by Victor's death," and I'm like, "But I don't think they were, like, friends." I don't think that. I have no evidence to support or, like, deny that, but I don't think they were, like, friends. M he doesn't strike me as, like Mike doesn't strike me as the type of person to become close with people that he works with in this line of work. And, I was like, "So I'm gonna rule that out," but I was kinda wondering myself of just, like, what is it that has Mike so rattled? And, I think that part of it is that, yeah, like, obviously watching what Gus did to Victor, but I think that Mike knows, okay, well, Walt is actually getting under Gus's skin for him to do this. Like, he's been tested and he's been pushed by outside forces and threats, both foreign and domestic. You don't get to the top of this empire without stepping on some toes and slitting some throats, literally. But for him to do that to one of his own guys, I think that even Mike, for Gus to do that, I think that shows that even Mike is like, okay, this guy is Walt is really starting to get under this guy's skin, and I think that Gus, who has been probably mostly unflappable until now, is getting flapped by a high school teacher. And I think that they've underestimated Walt to an extent. And also, I like what Walt says later on. You have to be kind of second guessing. Hey, like if he's willing to do this to this guy, if I fuck up, and I think part of that probably does eat at Mike. But I'm curious to see exactly uh, what happens in their relationship going forward, because I think there's a lot of different elements affecting Mike going on right now, but he's just very, whereas everything was like always on the same level and very even keel. Now with Victor and Walt, like it has changed things up like dramatically, and now he's seen a side of Gus that he probably knew was there, but has never actually seen firsthand. If I had to guess.
I think that's a very good theory. I think another thing of it is like Mike is a big loyalty guy. Like Mike values loyalty so much. Like think about at the end when Walt makes his feeble attempt to
Hmm.
bring Mike over, and think about Mike's reaction to that, by the way. And Victor, despite having failed in protecting Gale, Victor was loyal to Gus,
Hmm.
and that's how Gus sort of repaid his loyalty. Like I don't know, I feel like Mike is a little bit. I'm loyal to this guy, but I'm also on the chopping block as well. And if that guy can do that to someone who is that loyal to him, then I don't know. Like I feel like there's a little bit like that coming in. What do you
Hmm.
think about that?
I agree, and I'm interested to see more of. I mean, does Better Call Saul or anything ever get into how Mike and Gus became, I guess,
Oh
associates?
yeah.
Does it ever get into?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
not that I think that Gus saved Mike from a burning building or something like stupid like that, but I definitely think there's something there that like for Mike to yeah, he's a big trust guy. I know what his past profession is. I think they've talked about that at this point in the show. I'm pretty sure. But like I think that there's a part of it that like there's got to be something between him and Gus for him to be that worked up to punch Walt in the face and kick him twice. It's just like loyalty matters, but like I don't know. Something just tells me it's more specifically about Gus. I don't know, because that's a very wild reaction from Mike.
Hmm.
For a guy who's you're probably questioning your loyalty to this guy at this point. So it just seems like a big reaction for Mike, and I'm curious what his history is with Gus to kind of bring out that kind of reaction, because he's a very subtle, quiet guy, and that was not subtle at all.
No, no, it was not subtle at all. Let's check in on Jesse. We cut over to his place. He's got this giant sort of like sound system. And we can tell that Jesse's sort of like back on the gear again as he sort of
Mm,
stares into the changing lights of the hi-fi system. Skinny Pete and Badger rock up. Uh, it's so funny when Jesse's just trying to talk about what this sound system is, sonically neutral. Like what
yeah.
what does that even mean? He doesn't know. He's got no idea. He's just like regurgitating
Uh
these
huh.
things. Um, and like I feel like this is pretty much like what the Roomba is as well. Like it's just Jesse's just been buying shit just to fucking distract himself. Like, none of these things have meaning. Like, like later when we see the Roomba being grabbed by one of the fucking party goers in the morning and he takes a screwdriver to it, Jesse sees it. He doesn't give a fuck about it. Like there's no care about these things. He's just buying shit. Um it's absolutely wild. It's such a weird coping mechanism. When I say weird, I don't mean to be like insensitive. Like I just mean like it's a coping mechanism that just kind of like wants to distract himself. Like
Yeah. It
that's
just takes care of the symptom and not the issue.
right. He turns it up as they jam. Hold on to your hats, bitches. And then we cut over to another scene. Jesse crushes up some crystal blue. Badger looks at Skinny Pete. They're hesitant. And Pete says that he saw. I'm going to keep messing up her name because I have a coworker whose name is Andrea, but her name is Andrea in this show.
Mm,
Um, so Pete says he saw Andrea at a meeting yesterday. She asked about him, and Jesse just kind of nods. He like doesn't say anything, and he offers Pete some crystal meth. Pete declines. He says he's still in the program, but Badger caves, right? Maybe just a little bump. And dude, one of my favorite cuts in this show, one of my favorite cuts in this
mhm.
show is this cut of Badger going down for a bump, and then it holds for a sec, and then Pete enters the frame.
Yeah,
Like it's
Skinny
it's
Pete.
it's it's so good. He's just like he enters the frame just babbling about Left for Dead.
Which d I
Like
mean, at the time, hell yeah, that was such a like, what is this? 2010, 2011, I think, when this is probably being, like, shot and filmed and
this is
stuff.
this is this is around late 10, early 11.
It
Um,
was the game.
it was the game. Left for Dead 2 was banned in Australia.
I remember that. That
Banned.
is so stupid.
That was huge, and that, like, kicked off we never had R-rated games. They used to just go to MA 15 plus, and, like, that game started the R rating.
But
Like,
they let the
it was
first one
wild.
in, no problem, right?
Yeah, yeah, they let the first one in,
That's
no
so
problem, all
stupid.
good. The Office of Film and Literature Classification Board is just
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty strict.
totally inconsistent. Yeah. Um, alright, so they argue about the best zombie games, and Colin, what would you say is your preferred best zombie game?
Oh, dude,
'Cause I think
definitely. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I think Badger's on the money here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot tell you how many hours of Call of Duty Nazi Zombies I've logged in between,
Yeah,
I mean, the old school
me too.
ones and then the ones where they remastered it for Black Ops 3.
Uh-huh.
Dude, we used to go, like, I think my highest solo is, like, 68 on Kino der Toten, and
Oh my
then
god.
we went, like, 48 or 49, a group of 4. So, like, I have logged thousands of hours on Kino der Toten. So, like, I'm definitely a Call of Duty, but I love Left 4 Dead. I think Left 4 Dead was super fun. We played the shit out of that in high school, versus, like, I didn't play zombies until I was in, like, my 20s, so I've always got a soft spot for Left 4 Dead, but man, Call of Duty Zombies, it's just even the newer ones that aren't, like, the best, but it's fun, like Black Ops 6 Zombies, it's okay.
Dude, I used to log so many hours in the OG, the exact one that Badger's talking about here, the Call of Duty World at War Nazi Zombies, like the OG one where
Oh, Knocked Their
the
Own Totem?
Nocturne and Toad, like where you're just in that sort of little structure, and there's
Uh-huh.
only I think there's only like 4 doors that you can just like unlock, and the guns are on the walls. There's only one like sort of like mystery box, and that one I think the developers just kind of chucked in at the
Yeah.
last minute because it was just for fun, and it took off. Like now it's one of the three pillars of gaming in every Call of Duty. So like you have the
Mhm.
campaign, multiplayer, and then zombies. And it's crazy that it just took off. It was just so much fun that first World of War. I think now they've kind of like gotten away from it a little bit. I like the simpler sort of like Noctur and Toten stuff. Like I
Mhm.
don't love the big overall plot line that they've got for these new ones. I'm just
Oh,
like
these Easter eggs, they've gotten out fucking outrageous. They're still fun if you
crazy.
just wanna shoot stuff, but, yeah, there's, like, a whole Lord of the Rings fucking lore
Yeah,
behind this shit now where
that's
I'm like, "Okay, you've lost
right,
me."
that's exactly it. Man. But over the years, they've had some great cameos from some great voice actors. Like George A. Romero was one of them, which is
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, Badger's still talking about Nazi zombies. He's like, they do it because they hate Americans. They're the Taliban's of the zombie world. What a line! What an absolute line! That's fantastic. And as they're arguing, like Jesse's just silent the whole time, and when Pete asks for his opinion, he just says, "Yeah, yeah, agree, totally." And it's just like it's tough to see Jesse this way. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like it's a bit brutal. Like I mean, this kid's kind of he's been through the fucking ringer, dude. The music stops. The rumor's still going around, and Jesse says it's quiet, right? Like he's got in essence, he's got nothing to drown out his PTSD. He's got nothing to drown out. Like he's forced to remember if it's quiet. Like you know what I mean? Like if it gets too quiet, he's forced to sort of like just think about or return to the apartment complex. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
It's tough. And then we just get this hard cut to this lounge room just full of people. Just absolutely packed to the gills. It looks like a fucking nightclub. And Jesse's in a stupor as he dances with this pretty hot blonde chick. I don't know who that is, Jesse, but you might want to get involved there. Um, sorry, Andrea. Um, we cut to Walt's apartment as he sets up a couple of chairs and he practices his draw. And like I said, this is just it's a quick little insert scene, but like it's hilarious.
It's cowboy shit, yeah.
It's cowboy shit. We check in on Hank, who's up at night examining one of his minerals. He still hasn't shaved. He looks quite terrible. Wakes up Marie, and dude, I love the bed just reclining into frame out of focus behind Hank. It's like Marie with like a eye mask, a sleeping eye mask.
Yeah.
Uh,
At first, I was like, "They have matching hospital beds in here?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's like a Tempur-Pedic." Never mind, okay.
actually, yes, Marie, this is me sleeping. It's 2:24 a.m. Marie calls it a rock again. This is a mineral. Uh, and
Do they ever
Hank,
explain what the fuck is going on with these minerals?
I
Is
mean,
is it just a random hobby? Because I've never heard of this before.
yeah, so it's a hobby. Hank kind of has these fascinations with random things. There's another one later that comes into play. But how I sort of square it is it's a like Jesse, it's a distraction. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like it gives him something to do, something to think about as he's kind of just like either recovering or not thinking about the Salamanca twins attacking him or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just a way to cope.
mhm.
Um,
I do think it's interesting that a lot of the stuff that he's fixated on are, like, blue crystals, and I'm like, there's something
oh, that's a good
interesting about
touch.
that, like, a lot of the stuff, because he even says one of them is, like, blue corundum or something, but it's I feel like he's, supplementing that for this, like for this, what do they call Walter's meth? What are the blue magic?
Crystal blue.
Crystal blue, yeah. I think there's definitely something some kind of line to be drawn there. Maybe I'm thinking that a little bit literally, but it seems like every time he's got one of those, it's a
No,
blue crystal.
that's a good touch for sure. Um, and Hank just kind of keeps lashing out at Marie. And look, man, you won't hear, you won't catch me saying this a lot, but I fucking sympathize with Marie a lot,
Oh, yeah.
especially in this episode. She's doing a lot, dude. Like she's carrying her job. She has to look after Hank. She has to deal with whatever the fuck Skyler's going on, like all this shit as well. Like I don't know, like she's doing so much, and but at the same time, I also sympathize with Hank. You know, like he is in a very emasculating sort of situation, especially for someone who, for most of their life, has fed off their own masculinity. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's just been taken away, so he's kind of got nothing left to turn to, and the only person that's really caring about him is just lashing out.
Yeah, and I think even for Hank, this is starting to get, like, extreme, Like, even, like, for the average person, if this were me and you were like, "Yeah, when we first got home and, you wake up at 2 a.m. and it's agonizing pain," you're probably gonna be pretty fucking crabby, that's understandable. But even now at this point where it's like, with Hank is that, even for somebody like Hank, like, this is getting to a point where uh, yeah, I get the nagging and I get the chirping at each other, but later on, when he's just like, "Get out," I'm just like, "Dude, I'm really starting to fucking hate you." Like, I don't really like cops in the first place, but like, you're not making a great fucking case here, Hank. Especially because, like you said with Marie, like the food is on the table, medical bills are getting paid, the physical therapist is getting paid. Like, she's doing a lot of the stuff that, I get it in the moment. You're not she's not looking for a thank you, and you're not looking for, a handout, but you at some point, like, you do have to take stock and say like, "Hey, at least I'm not fucking dead," you know? Like, at least I didn't totally leave everything behind in a parking lot because of a couple of fucking like bald ass twins, you know, and there's just for Hank, I think that's something about Hank that bothers me. It's just no, even the slightest bit of appreciation of not even fuck what Marie's doing, fuck what Walt's doing, just the fact that you're even alive. Like there's no level of appreciation for that. Like I don't know, he just like I like Hank, but there are times where he's my least favorite character, but because he is just a kind of not ungrateful, but I don't think he really appreciates a lot of the stuff that he has in his life, you know?
I love it. I love that you said that because a lot of what this season is bringing the characters that we thought were in the green. We're bringing them into the gray. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're kind of like bringing them like
Pushing
they're
their
now.
limits.
Like, yes, exactly. They're pushing their limits, but like, there's no 100% good character in this show now. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, before we got Hank's shooting, technically, you know, as crass as he was, Hank is a 100% good guy. He's a 100% hero. We're supposed to side with him. We're supposed to like him. But now here he is rejecting all this love and compassion that's being given to him, and just like you said, just straight up kind of being a dick. You know, like he is now just like we now question his sort of like morality. We start questioning his like, man, like how good of a person are you, sort of thing. We know that unfortunately Jesse has not. Jesse, while he is a good character at heart, he has not done good things, as we've
Mhm.
seen at the end of last season. So yeah, like a lot of what this season is bringing down and breaking down the characters that we've kind of come to know, and just kind of like setting them up for where they're supposed to go in the end of next season. So
Oh, yeah.
um, yeah, so Walt's apartment as he's packing his lunch, dude, just the idea of him packing his lunch in a paper bag and you've got the 5 bullets just lined up on the counter. Like,
Mhm.
what
Or the
even is
fact that he has to put his name on his sack lunch. Like, I'm sorry, is there anybody else in this building besides Jesse? Like, that fucking kills me.
Oh god, he's such a fucking goober. Skylar leaves a voicemail, hasn't called her back. Bills are piling up, and she hasn't received a check from him in quite some time. She mentions the car wash again. Walt bangs his head pretty fucking hard against the underside of his counter before picking up the phone. What are you doing? Thinking about leaving a message like that on my machine? And this is Walt's paranoia here, right? As you mentioned.
Mhm.
And to be quite honest, it's fine to mention the purchase of the car wash on the phone,
Yeah, because at
as long
first,
as
yeah,
as long
you're
as you
like
don't mention the real purpose of it.
exactly. It's like, dude, you are going to own this thing. It's not like you're buying it through a shell company or something, you
Right,
know? Because at first you're like, "Yeah, Skyler," and then you're like, "Oh, wait, yeah, actually, that's kinda silly. This is why they're buying it, is to have a legitimate business to launder
right.
money through."
But like this is just another example of, as you said, like Walt thinking that he's in a fucking movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like I just love
Absolutely.
Skylar's reaction to this is great. She's like, "We're talking about buying a car wash. There's nothing going on. You're the one making it weird, bruh." Like, you know.
Right. Right.
I have a little note here. We are now 2 for 2 this season of Walt Jr. having breakfast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I miss him, man. I wanna see him in some more stuff soon. It's been a while. I like old RJ.
He has a big couple moments this season, so I'm excited for him
Old
to use
Robin.
that. Old RJ Mitt. And Walt says he'll handle it and he'll call Saul. We get this amazing POV shot from the perspective of the Roomba as
Mhm.
it sort of like bumps up against all these obstacles. People passed out on the floor. There's shit everywhere, and it genuinely just kind of makes me want to throw up. Until, like I said, it's eventually picked up by this random dude who just kind of just. By the way, why do you have a screwdriver? Like, why did you bring a screwdriver to this party? Like, this guy
Mhm.
just like takes a screwdriver to this Roomba.
I was gonna stab all these people, but hey, a Roomba.
Yeah, yeah. What are you and like? What's he gonna do to it? Like, is he one of those ones who thinks that, like, the microchips inside the Roomba is, like, listening to his every conversation? Like, what's going on?
I'm gonna get this thing to suck my dick, man.
Does it have full suction vacuum or just half? And like I said, man, Jesse witnesses this. Like, he sees him take the screwdriver to her, but he doesn't do anything about it. He just walks on.
Right.
Because Jesse's there's bigger things that Jesse's concerned with or has taken part in. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about no Roomba, even though he bought it. Um, so his lounge reminds me of the final days of him and Jane. Do you remember when him and Jane were like kind of like going on their heroin bender and
Mhm.
and meth, and like how gradually dirty their apartment or like their little sort of like house started to get, like the
Right.
place started to look more and more like a shithole, and I love that we're getting that again.
Yeah, that despair. Yeah.
Mm. Jesse's keen to keep the party going. He tells Pete and Badger to go get some more liquor, and Jesse turns the music back on because he cannot have silence. I could, dude. There's nothing worse than continuing to party during a hangover. I'm sorry, like that's just I can't do it. Can't be done.
No, no, yeah. So I gotta go. Man, I'll be back here at like 4 or 5 o'clock, but I gotta go home and like get some food, take a shower and stuff. Like,
That's exactly it. I'm 31. My knees hurt. My back
hmm
hurts. Like, come on, man. Um, we transitioned to him working at the lab with his headphones in, blaring the same rock song as he kind of like kicked it off at the end of the last scene. Um, sorry, I almost had to sneeze. But I was like, I had
Gesundheit.
to pause. Yeah, thank you. I'm good. Um, again, he has to like. There's no silence. You know, he has to stay distracted. And we're introduced to Tyrus, right? Like this guy who kind of like comes down the metal staircase. Walt looks terrified, and Jesse just straight up asks if he's the new guy. Hey, you the new guy? This is Victor's replacement, Tyrus. And I love like just one little fact that I got here. The original script referred to him as New Victor.
New Victor.
Mike asks to give the container a second way. You know, like I feel like Gus has given this instruction that Walt and Jesse are not to be trusted. But also we kind of it hasn't been explicitly told to us, but we can kind of insinuate that Jesse's been taking some off the top.
Mm. Yeah, I wondered why that was like. Yeah, yeah. Why out of nowhere they asked for this count again? I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I feel like either somebody, because part of me wonders if if Gus has Walt and Jesse surveilled at all times. That would not surprise me one bit if Walt just has like, hey, every once in a while, I want somebody to go check up on these two because they're causing a lot of trouble for me. Jesse has a drug problem, yada yada. And then obviously Jesse's had a very publicized party for the last 48 hours. So I don't think it's hard for them to figure out, okay, something's going on. You know, he's meeting with some random women in his yard and they're flashing bricks of cash. Like it's I feel like a lot of this is going to come back to be an issue. Uh, because like you said, Walt didn't even make it to Gus's front door and he was called. So it's like somebody's watching you. You're
Oh
being
yeah.
watched probably more than you realize. Yeah, I mean, for all fucking Jesse knows, one of these party goers is just a direct line into Gus. You know, like you, and he would never fucking know. So I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty interesting, and I feel like there's going to be uh, some issues for Jesse, you know, going forward because yeah, it was kind of random. They started this inventory check at the end of the night. You know, why would you do that unless you knew one of them was using it?
All will be answered in due time, baby. But
Hmm.
you know, like I haven't spoiled it for you, but like I think that is I mean, like it's a big clue that like Jesse's crushing up Crystal Blue at the start of this episode. I can't
Hmm.
see him paying for that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
like,
but also it's like I wonder how he's smart enough to not get caught with it, you know?
mhm.
Like, I wonder what is he doing? Because he is smart. Like, I wonder, like, what he's doing to weigh, like, Like there was a thing back in the day of kids buying weed and they would soak it in something to make it
Oh
heavier,
shit.
and
Oh.
then they would soak the weed in like water or like syrup or something, and it would make the weed heavy, and then you would put it on the scale and it would read, "Oh yeah, that's that much," when it was really not that much, and it was basically unsmokable. They would get ripped off. So I don't put anything like that beyond Jesse of him putting like a fucking an actual like he's borrowing minerals from Hank and putting them in there or something.
He pays Hank a visit.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Schrader, can I borrow one of these?
Yo, minerals, bitch.
Walt wants to speak with Gus. I would like the chance to clear the air. And Walter, you're never gonna see him again.
Mm,
Um, Skylar takes Holly to the car wash. She's doing her research with a notepad. The Dodge gets a detail. The Corolla gets a hand wax. She's doing something. Something's up. Something's cooking with Skylar.
mhm,
I love I don't know, man. There's some like really there's undertones of like Walt here in Skylar. Like as she takes Holly to the stakeout and she's like feeding Holly at the same time while trying to protect this criminal enterprise. I just thought this was really
mhm.
interesting. Um, Hank is with his physical therapist, and man, this is brutal to watch him use the walker. Like they do this, they keep this scene up for so long, and Hank's just like "Rah, rah, Jesus."
Yeah.
Rah." Roy walks in, says "Way to go," and cheers him on. And there's like a quick close up on his sort of like fists, like shaking as he like grips the walker. It's fucking brutal, man. Hank eventually makes it to the bed. He's exhausted. He gives a very enthusiastic high five to his physical therapist, but is hesitant to give a high five to Marie. Like it's just like mate, like I don't. What do you make of this? What do you make of this? Like like is it because the physical therapist is this sort of like jacked dude that like Hank is kind of like Hank loves this like macho shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I do think that there is like kind of a disconnect there
Is Hank
of
gay? Is my
yeah.
question.
That would be fun. That would be some shit. Is he be like, my legs have been working fine. He's just been coming over and wrecking my shit and putting me back in a fucking wheelchair. Um,
Oh my
no,
god.
the
Breaking
uh,
my shit.
he's fucking been
Oh,
putting my ankles to my ears and breaking my shit.
stop.
Um, no, I do think that that's part of it with Hank because it's a dude. He's younger. He's taller. He's in better shape. He's obviously a real like kind of like macho man. And I think there's probably a part of Hank that goes, "This guy's better than me. I would never do this if I were able bodied. I would never spend time with somebody like me trying to get them to walk again. That's like I would never do something like that." So I didn't really consider it. I think that's part of it. Uh, but also I feel like does Hank know that Walt and Skyler are paying for his medical bills? He doesn't know that, does he?
Not at all.
Okay. So I feel like maybe there's something going on there because this is like even for Hank, this is extremely vitriolic. Like there's definitely I feel like something else like that could be some random thing of like, him just being just super pissed off all the time and just taking it out on her. I think that's more than an acceptable. That happens more than people think with people that are stuck at home or homebound or injure have various injuries and stuff like that. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's like, oh, you weren't going to tell me that my cancer stricken brother-in-law is fucking paying for my
Foot in the bill.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So I see I could see it going either way, but even for Hank this is very vitriolic.
I feel like Hank hasn't found the right thing to vent his frustrations. Like to avoid venting his frustrations towards
Yeah, I
Marie.
agree.
Like you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like I feel like the minerals aren't filling this void that needs to be filled. Like he just needs to find the right distraction or find the right coping mechanism.
Hmm.
Um And whether he finds it or not, we'll see. That's a little bit of a tease. So there you go. I'll leave you with that. Marie offers to make Hank some food, and Hank interrupts her and just tells her to get out. A very genuine, like, get out. Like, it's not even like a mid argument, like, get out. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, you
Mhm.
can tell he's like considered it. Ugh, rough, rough. It's even like sweet on Marie's part to try and get the physical therapist to stay longer. You know what I mean? She's like, "You want to go full time?" He's like, "I'll see you next
Mhm.
week, bro." Oh man. Back at the meth orgy, we get this pizza arriving, and I love this, dude. Did you catch this? So the writers had to throw in an explanation for why the pizza on Walt's roof was whole and not cut. So they chucked it. They
Oh.
chucked the explanation into this episode.
Oh, yeah, they pass the savings on to you. Yeah,
Right,
when
right,
not
right.
cutting the pizza.
Because it was such a iconic moment when he throws the pizza on the roof, but I mean, obviously, it's not cut. Like, it's just a whole pizza that
Mhm.
goes onto the roof. So, um, it's democratic. It's a democratic pizza. The doorbell rings. Pete answers, and Andrea walks in. Andrea, sorry. Brock's in the car. Go on, little man. We'll catch up later. Dude, the actor they get for Brock is adorable. I love this kid. Like, this kid just got
Mhm.
just a little genuine smile. Like, you know. Um, Andrea questions Jesse about an envelope of money she received. She doesn't want to know about what Jesse did with her brother's killers, but queries whether someone will come looking for the money. And Jesse says, "No, use the money to get you and Brock out of the neighborhood or go spend it on glass, but I gotta believe you won't do that." And she takes off as Brock waves goodbye to Jesse. Jesse then takes a long, deep sigh, much like Mike earlier in this episode, before he heads back into the house. And
Mm.
just quickly, I love this show is just so good with like colors and contrast of imagery and stuff like that. Just how bright and colorful his street and suburb is before he heads back into the absolute desolation we know is inside. Like
Mhm.
the darkness and just absolute fucking
Grimy.
filth. Yeah. Walt rocks up outside Gus's house. You know, he's got the hat next to him on the seat, and he considers doing the deed. And I love Dave Porter does the music for this show. I love the music just building up as he puts on the hat. He opens his eyes and he starts towards the house. As Walt nears the house, his phone rings. He stops to answer it. And who is it but Mike? Go
So it
home,
is Mike.
Walter. Go home,
Okay, I
Walter.
couldn't tell if that was him or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, oh, man.
Yeah.
That's gotta be fucking freaky.
Oh, dude. Can you, like, yeah. I mean, the actor who plays Mike has just such a terrifying, Jonathan Banks, he has such a terrifying
Mhm.
voice. Um,
Well,
the
and it's because again, it's just like, how are you seeing me? Am I being tracked? Like, are you
exactly.
watching me at all times? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, do you have, like, an AirTag in my car? Like, what's going on? Um, the, overhead shot of him standing alone on the street with his elongated shadow, just brilliant. Love it. Um, Marie receives a delivery of a ton of bricks and, good customer service by this delivery man who just offered to wheel them inside. Like, good for him. He looks
Mhm.
exhausted. Um, how many? 3, 400, a million? Did you check them for damage? No, but they're rocks. There, Jesus Christ, the minerals, Marie. I'm not getting ass raped by this bust. Oh my
Jesus Christ.
god. Oh my god, dude. And like Marie is just like at her wits end. Like she's done. She's cooked. Fuck this guy, man. I don't care if you are a DEA agent. Skylar speaks with this the owner of the car wash, Bogdan. And we haven't seen this guy since the pilot, dude. This guy who plays
Oh,
Bogdan.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This guy who plays Bogdan, his name's Marius Stan. He's not an actor, but he's a physicist who taught at the University of Chicago. Like this guy's like one of the smart guys, you know.
Holy shit.
Him and his eyebrows. Um, Scarlett's prepared to talk numbers right now. Bogdan asks whether she thinks it's an easy job, and she's like, "No, I know a thing or two about scrubbing." Bogdan says he's built the business for 30 years with his own hands and he wants $10 million for the business. And Skylar, much to her credit, well, let's try $879,000. Where did you get this number? You pull it out from your behind? um, and dude, she calculated the fuck out of this, right? She calculated salary, overhead, cash flow, depreciation,
Mhm.
uh, and she ultimately came to a number of 829,000, but added an extra 50,000 on top. And he then asked for $20 million. This is the price for Walter White. Oh yes, you don't think I know who you are? It turns out Bogdan still has it out for him, man. Like, he says he's not man enough to come here and face me himself. Instead, he sends his woman.
Right,
What did
yeah,
you think
and
about this
and
exchange, dude?
man, I thought it was interesting because like, I on one hand, like, I do appreciate, like, what Skylar's doing, and she's trying to but at the same time, to me, this is almost in that same vein of, "Do not sell marijuana to my husband." Like, this feels like something in the same vein of, like, you are in way over your head. You have no business being here.
Oh yeah,
And it's like and I think that there's something so funny that you can bitch, you can calculate all the numbers that you want, but the guy at the end of the day has no reason to sell to you. He doesn't need to, he doesn't have to. He's probably perfectly fine. I mean, he's not an 80-year-old man, so yeah, you're gonna have to really make it worth his while. And he fucking hates you guys. Like, this is all stuff that I feel like anybody can crunch the numbers, but you need a Walt or a Gus to crunch the human side of it and be like, well, he hates us. Last time I was in there, I kind of, I thought he like,
grab my crotch.
yeah, I remembered him like tossing him around, but I guess I forgot about that.
No, no, no.
Uh, I guess I misremembered that, but um, there's a lot of stuff here where it's just like so again naive and asinine and juvenile to think you're just gonna walk in there and offer him. And I think it's great, she offers, yeah, $50,000 on top of, the 829K. I think that's great, but it's like, but again, you're gonna have to motivate this guy even more because A, he has no reason to sell, and B, he hates your guts. So it's like, and it's all stuff that like you didn't consider any of this before you walked in. If he was bent over a barrel and he owed somebody money and blah blah blah, then yeah, yeah. I could see her just crunching the numbers and getting away with it. But there's a human element here that you're not chalking up in your equation.
Well, it's interesting because Walt has a tendency to do this as well, to get his way or to try and convince people to do like what is not in their best interest. And very much like Walt, like you said, Skylar does not consider the human factor of it, right? Like she just considers the money. She just considers the facts, and that is very Walt like. You know what I mean? Like that's very Walt like to not really understand the human capacity of it all, which I really dig. I love that Walt is kind of rubbing off on Skylar a little bit, or
Hmm.
Heisenberg
Sure.
is rubbing off on Skylar. Um, Hard cut to, have you recently lost a loved one in an aviation disaster?
Oh
Dude,
God.
this hacky ass ad from Saul. Dude, he's saying he can win you an 8-figure settlement.
Yeah. That well, and it's funny at the bottom, the shit rolling by. It's like it basically like, no, this is probably like, hey, don't be surprised if you don't actually get. It's like an illusion of money is or something at the bottom. It's really funny.
It's so good. Mike's drinking at the bar when Walt walks in. Walt buys Mike a drink. Why not? You make a hell of a lot than I do. um, Walt wants to explain himself. He wants Mike to understand his actions. He says he didn't want any of this to happen. He did it out of loyalty to Jesse and then later out of self defense. I appreciate that. When you were going to kill me, you were simply following orders and I harbor no ill will. That's a load off my mind, says Mike.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, cool.
Mike's such a G, dude. I love Mike. Walt wonders exactly where he stands, and he puts the idea in Mike's head. He wants to try to turn him against Gus. Mike asks Walt about the piece. He clocked it immediately. He says it's not going to help. Walt tells Mike that they're in the same boat. If it happened to Victor, it can happen to you. You won, Walter. You got the job. Do yourself a favor and learn to take yes for an answer. Walt wants to get into a room with Gus. He says, "Get me in the room and I'll do the rest." And Mike Mike takes this as an affront. Mike hates this. Mike just gets up and just clocks Walt, and he kicks him while he's down. And this is a very visceral reaction from Mike. Mike has shown, well, this is what I kind of like really pick up or intuit from this. Mike has shown that he's a loyal person, and that he won't be swayed by Walt's pathetic attempt to get him to shift his loyalty. Um, and I think like Mike's a little insulted that Walt thinks so little of him, or that like sort of this very like feeble attempt of like getting Mike to switch sides is gonna work. You know?
Mhm. No, I agree. I can see this, like, even if he was not a hugely loyal person, this blundering, very heavy-handed way that Walt is trying to do this, it's just like, but even if he does go for it, like, you're risking a lot by putting this out to Mike. You're really, really risking a
Oh
lot
yeah,
because all Mike has to do now is turn around and go to Gus and go, "So your, friend Heisenberg came to see me the other," it's like, that's all it fucking takes, dude. This is risking a lot on something that you have no idea if he's gonna go along with or not. Again, it seems like a bit of, like, naivety on they're kind him and Skyler both have this just kind of like, "Oh, I'm a fucking big player now," and it's like, "No, you are a player, but you don't control the game," you know?
definitely. So here we are. We're wrapping it up. Everyone's leaving. They've been going at it for 3 straight days. Badger says he thinks he's got a cat that he needs to feed. Now that you're in the mix, sorry, Skinny Pete says, now that you're back in the mix, there's nothing but good days ahead. Badger says they'll come back next week, but you and I know, Colin, and Jesse knows that he probably doubts he can probably last that long without distractions. You know, like
Mm,
a week? Come on, dude. He walks back inside and closes the door with a disappointed look on his face. The place looks like an absolute pigsty. Um, Imagine the smell in that place. Like, there's probably piss somewhere. There's probably shit somewhere. And the episode closes on Jesse turning the volume up on his sound system, sitting down, putting his back to the speakers, and trying to drown out the noise. Boom.
yeah, very Requiem for a Dream-ish kind of
Oh,
episode, you know?
we're gonna get some Requiem for a Dream type shots. We're gonna get a very train spotting shot soon. It's pretty iconic. I think it's in the next episode. It might be the one after. I can't remember.
Uh-oh, Netflix is going to the next episode. I better pause it.
Hey, you can
Walt's
pause it
opening
as
the
long
door
as
to the lab. I'm
you
just
can. You can pause it as long as you watch it again before we record next, bitch. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really remember what happens. Blah blah blah. Like yeah, yeah. The fucking two-bit podcaster that you are. I'm kidding. Yeah, dude. What'd you think about this episode? Give me your closing thoughts on this, and we'll wrap this bitch up.
I thought it was good. I liked it a lot. I think that, it was a pretty slow episode in terms of plot, but like what you were saying earlier, it's a lot more of a character heavy episode. So I think it's kind of it's like a game of pool and somebody has hit the triangle of balls with the cue ball and sent everything around the board, and now we have to recalibrate and see how everybody's feeling, where everybody is on the board, what kind of positions people have. So now we kind of know, um, where everybody stands, so to speak. So I think
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's a good episode to stop and be like, okay, where is everybody again? Okay, cool.
there are a couple episodes, and I'm just gonna say this now. We're kind of entering this stretch of episodes um that are a bit like this. Like there are a few episodes that are kind of like early this season that are really sort of setting things up, or kind of like putting you in the mind space of where these characters are. Um, we're gonna get a couple more episodes like this, like 38 Snub, that really sort of like hone in on the psychology of the characters rather than really um advancing the plot. And I'm not saying that the plot comes to a standstill, it absolutely doesn't, but the back half of this season kicks things into high gear because of the setup that we're getting here. Like it's
Mhm.
only because of the setup that season 4, the way it ends is absolutely brilliant as well. So I think it's necessary to really drill into the psychology of these characters this early in the season before we blow things up a bit later on. Um, but that being said, man, that's been us for this episode of Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. Thank you so much to everyone for checking in on us this episode. Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. We'll see you guys next week here on Midnight Double Feature, Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.